Good evening, everyone. It is Tuesday night, the 18th, I think.
18th.
And we are live again. 2 nights
For now.
For now. Yeah, we are again inside. We'd like to be outside, but it's there's a monsoon going through right now. We just had quite a little windstorm along with sideways rain.
And a porch swing going through my window.
Yeah, so we had a window break in the bedroom, about 15, 20 minutes ago.
Yep, that's
so
bad.
we were scrambling to try and get that kind of patched up till this storm blows through. But it already looks like it's dissipating a little bit. But anyway, that's monsoon excitement out here. It smells really good outside. Anyway,
Hi, Rachie.
I got all dried off just in time to make it here on the live. So we got a couple things to go over tonight. I was talking with Tessa the other day.
Oh, she just popped in, too.
She did. Hi, Tessa. I'm talking about you.
I was just telling her, I just had a porch swing go through my window.
Yeah. It's one of those ones with the frame, and anyway, it's a portable little porch swing, and the wind blowed it over and put it right through the window. But no damage other than a piece of glass. No big deal. Anyway, so Tessa and I were talking last week, I believe it was, about the philosophy of going deep or going shallow and the difference between the two. And there's two schools of thought on that. I was going over it with Tessa. There's a lot of people that like the idea of having drag on their router. It tends to, I think it tends to keep them a little more steady, or at least in their mind, it keeps them a little bit more steady and more of a consistent line, straight line. And I may have been that way 45 years ago, 50 years ago when I started out, but probably for the last 40 years at least, I like as less drag on that router as possible. However,
It's funny because I can tell when I'm watching the thing here and it starts wiggling and it'll either zoom in, go up or down because I'm moving the...
so
Sorry.
Vicky's actually watching on her phone as my fingers are going all over the place. I'm watching too. I got to stop watching that.
Okay.
So anyway, so Tessa was saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, Tessa. She was saying that going deeper, she felt like she could hold a better line going deeper. And I can't refute that. There are a lot of people that like the idea of having more of a drag, but it kind of depends on what you're cutting too. If you're cutting super soft wood, then even going deep is going to be less drag than if you're cutting a piece of oak or maple or cherry or something like that. You're going to have more drag on that. So my philosophy, and I think that a lot of young or beginner sign carvers like a little bit more drag, and there actually are sign carvers that have been doing it for years that still are in that same camp. I'm not. I'm in the camp of absolutely 100% no drag at all. But I certainly understand that. The other thing is, there are some people that like the big heavy routers. So you guys, if you have a big heavy router, you might, especially if you're starting out, you might feel more comfortable with a big heavier router. I don't. I carved with big heavier routers before these Palm routers came out. I carved with a heavier router for 40 something years. Once I started using these, I like these much better. But anyway, so experiment around, guys. Find out what you like, what works for you. So don't necessarily always go by what I say. Find out what, you have to find your own groove, your own style, your own feel. And it could be that you will be in one of the camps that likes the heavier router, more drag on that router. I'm just not. I want complete 100% control of that router with no drag at all. Anyway, that's kind of how the conversation went, the best to my recollection. So I'm sure Tessa probably has some some interjection there if you want, Tessa. Give us your thoughts on it. But I'd like to know your
She
guys'
says,
thoughts too.
We got some comments here.
Okay.
Rob Duverstein says, going deep seems to cause more problems for me. If I hit some bad grain, it'll take off harder on me. Darren Smith said, I seem to have less control the shallower the cut.
See, there you go.
Tessa
There's two
said,
sides.
Yeah, Tessa says, I'm cutting hardwood. I do about an 1/8 inch. Hardwood, not food. She said hard food, but she meant hardwood.
So, yeah, if you're cutting 1/8 inch in hardwood, you will probably have some drag, again, depending on what bit you're using. If you're using the carving liner, you're going to have more drag because that's only got one flute. If you're using one of the other bits, it's got multiple flutes, it'll cut through there easier, or it should.
Greg Breimer said, is it better to cut with the grain or opposite?
You're always going to find that if you've got a board, and most of the boards that I use are rectangle, the grain is going left to right, horizontal, you're gonna be able to hold a better line going across grain than you will with the grain, because that's a general statement. It really kind of depends on the board. If you've got a board that's very grainy and it is a vertical grain from the end of the board, yeah, this gets kind of tricky. If it's a really hard, soft, you, depending on where you are on the board, if you're in a soft area, you're going to be able to hold a better line going horizontal. If you've got a fairly tight grain that isn't a really hard, soft, you'll be able to hold a better line going against the grain. So I had to think about it there for a second. It just is kind of natural to me, but so it depends on the wood, Rob.
Scott Christian said, I go shallow at first and go deeper. Being the beginner, I think it's easier for me. And Eric, you know the router.
Yeah, and that has been my go-to answer is go shallow first and then go back and go deeper.
Frank says, I'm a fan of slick, easy sliding bass.
Yeah, me too, Frank.
Darren Smith says, my sweet spot for first cut seems to be about 3/16.
Yeah.
Josh Tolson, I like cutting a shallow rough cut and then set the depth I want and clean up the line. Seems to help me hold a better line.
That's kind of my feeling on it, Josh.
Charles Wooster says, as long as I take Eric's advice, everything works out all right. Tessa said, I'm
Be
not
careful.
using the carving liner. I can go the 1/8 with no problem.
Yeah. Tessa's probably using the profile bit. Yeah. Thank you, Charlie. I appreciate that. Okay, so the next one is really more of a kind of a marketing idea, suggestion. And I've talked about this many times, but I haven't talked about it in a while. Huh?
Well, I'm showing my picture is stalled, but I don't know if anybody else's is. So.
Oh, really? Oh, on the phone.
Greg Breimer says, I have a problem with my cedar chipping out when I go certain direction with the grain.
Your cedar's chipping out. Go the opposite. I would go counterclockwise. Well, it depends on whether you're inset or outset. Yeah, play with it, Greg. But it could be, it could be your bit. Check and make sure your bit's not dull. Anyway, so moving on to the second thing I wanted to talk about is I got a picture from that. Actually, I put in the sign carvers of the day that you guys will see in a couple of weeks, 2, 3, 4 weeks, whatever. But he had made this sign. He is going on a guided hunt, and he made this sign as a gift for the guide when he goes on this hunt. I think next month, and I think it's a guided bear hunt. But he made a really nice sign for the guy and showed it to me, and he's going to present it to him. You guys might think about that, and it got me to thinking that anybody that you guys do business with, of course, in this crazy COVID era that we're living in, probably not as much as normal, but anybody that you guys do business with, I would think about the contacts that they have, that people that they do business with, and think about that, and consider, if you've got time and materials on your hand, consider making a sign as a gift for somebody that's in business that can bring you some awareness, bring you some, some possible customers. You guys really would think about that. I think you should think about that. If I was out there doing signs every day and trying to sell signs, I think that would definitely be a guerrilla marketing tactic that I would definitely use. Again, for what we get for a sign, something we get a couple $100, we only have maybe 15 or 20 bucks in materials. Very cheap advertising, guys. So, and remember, I'm going to start harping on this. You guys are going to hear me a lot over the next couple months. Christmas is closer than you think. You need to get your as many signs as you can out there right now. And I'm talking, on all the social media. Already start talking about Christmas stuff. Get your stuff out there right now. Now is the time to really push on getting your signs in front of as many people as possible for Christmas. And don't be too shy to say, hey, in November I get super packed. So if you want a sign, think about ordering it early.
Tessa sold her first big sign today.
Fantastic, Tessa. Congratulations.
Charlie, the address, it's on the website, 4809 North Teddy Roosevelt Road, Golden Valley, Arizona, 86413.
That's it. Okay. Anyway, so if you guys have feedback on that, let me know if you have questions on that. But definitely, now is the time to push for Christmas.
I think if we're going to do signs, I think we might.
All right, so let's get into sign carvers of the day. We got some good ones. And then there's a couple more things I want to talk about at the end. Just kind of announcements.
Yeah.
Just
I'm afraid we're going to lose our signal based on what I'm seeing.
Kojen Shi. I think that's how you pronounce it. Very first sign. What is it? 22.5 by 40. For a first sign, wow. Very impressive.
Wow, nice straight lines.
Gosh, really. Hold a really good line with that router. Congratulations, Kojen. Love it. Scott Christian,
I was just say, he just said, I'm doing a karaoke thing this weekend and I'm going to make a sign for that.
Excellent. Speak of the devil. There's Scott right there. And this is for a friend's memorial. He was a huge Wolverines fan. And I remember seeing this, and we talked about it when Dad and I stopped by his house a couple weeks ago. Anyway, great job, Scott. Keep up the great work, buddy. Keep it up, man. Thomas Gent. First signs. Check that out. Wow.
I like that.
That's really cool. I love the lines around there and the shape. Great job, Thomas. For first signs, man, you got a knack for this. Keep up the great work, buddy. I love it.
Yeah, we're
great
strong,
job.
so.
I hear thunder in the background.
Yeah.
Tom Guy, his very first sign. Good job, Tom. And especially considering that board. I'm looking at that board, and my hunch is that's a piece of pallet wood, or it's a piece of not very good lumber that I would have chosen. So based on that, you did really good for your first sign. You guys, as you get better, you're going to want better materials. Richie Barclay in New Zealand, third sign.
Here. I think he's here.
He normally is. He seems to be. And I did this with the profile bit and the 90.
Very nice.
Got nice balance. Just a great job. For a third sign, terrific work, Richie. I love it.
You better
hear that thunder in the background, guys? I guess the storm's still here. All right, we might lose power any second. So, couple announcements, then we're going to bounce. See, I sound
you're
almost
hip.
modern.
I'm
hip. With it. Tomorrow morning's video, because of us being in California and all that, tomorrow morning's video will be a Facebook. Tomorrow morning's YouTube video will be a Facebook replay from last week. So just wanted to give you guys a heads up on that. I didn't get started early enough to get a project video done on that. Another one is Andy Ander in Scotland wrote me, and he said, I no longer was getting notifications when you post a YouTube video. So he went on and found out And as of August 13th, YouTube has stopped sending notifications to your email when I post a new video, if you have that little notification bell done. And so you can go check it out. Go to Google and check it out. But there's ways that you can get around that. And it says obvious, and then of course it says, and I printed this out from Google, says if you're on mobile, the YouTube app still gives a notification, and on your desktop if you're using Chrome browser, if you've got the notification setting right. So if you're using Chrome, which I do, if you're using Chrome, go up into the settings, and that's those three, those three little dots in the right hand top corner. Click on that and you'll see settings, and go down and set the settings for notifications on YouTube. It's not that hard to find once you click on those little three dots. So if you're not getting notified that we've done our YouTube videos, that's the reason why. I don't know why they turned that off, but they did. And last but not least, last announcement, we have decided, guys, we're not going to do a class
Linda.
Who?
Sorry, Linda Ballard.
Hey, Linda. We are not going to do a class in October. There's just too much up in the air right now. Crazy things going on. I think we're on the downside of this COVID thing, but I know a lot of people are still dealing with it, and there's a lot of uncertainty. So I think we're going to save our class for the spring. Anyway, I was really hoping we could do it, but just it's too crazy. So no class in October. However, ooh boy, that was a lightning strike. Yow.
You better. We're gonna lose.
Okay, so you will hear more about the Zoom later on this week. So we will be doing some Zoom things. So that's it, guys. We're out. We're going to lose power any minute because it happens all the time in storms out here. So thank you so much. Email me if you have questions, eric@makeawwoodsign.com. We love you, and we will see you tomorrow.
Bye, guys.
Bye.